The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with undaunted ABC Amber News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amber TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news, untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amber TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team. Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora,
from the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora,
dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora,
the Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas? counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Amazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA, and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Amazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Paddy, I need to hear Yaya. Paddy, can you hear me?
I am so sorry. I've been muted all this while.
Now I hear you. She was muted all along.
Sorry. I am so sorry. Welcome, fellow viewers. Good evening, Homefront. Good evening, Ground Zero fellow comrades and sympathizers of the Amazonian Liberation Movement. You're welcome to this program today. It is called Know Your Interim Government. This is the birth of the program. It is the very first, and we are graced by the presence of our Honorable Vice President, Mr. Eric Ate, who is a knower of our Constitution and is going to be explaining a lot of things to us and a lot of misunderstandings. The reason we came up with this program is because in the recent times we witnessed the failed coup d'etat, and that was built on the basis of misinformation on especially our Constitution. We therefore felt the need to educate ourselves and educate the public so that we are empowered by knowledge and we cannot be fooled by any Tom, Dick, and Harry. So this program was meant to go every monthly, but we've already had feedback even before we started that people will want to know more about the interim government and updates. Therefore, we intend to do this bi-monthly. And this is going to alternate with the health program. So please, the health show is still on. We're just going to alternate with this one. So without much ado, first of all, sorry for the late start. We apologize. I want to introduce to you the great, our very able Vice President, Mr. Eric Ate. Welcome, VP. The floor is yours.
Thank you, COS, Chief of Staff. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes, my fellow Amazonians, I'm very happy to be here today. And for those of you who have already joined, I really appreciate that you're here. Sorry for the late start too. So, okay, Yaya, go ahead.
Thank you so much, VP. I think I'll start straight away. We keep talking about the IG, the IG, the IG, the IG. Please just give us a brief summary. What is the IG? What does it stand for?
The IG, as we all know, is the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. A while back, when our people decided to restore their independence, we transitioned from the governing council that was led by our former president, and then we came to Zaria, and we decided to create a government. In a sense, it was a statement that we were trying to make, and which we actually succeeded making to the international community and to the Republic of Cameroon, that we have restored the Joa government that was dissolved by them and our independence torpedoed. So that is what the interim government is. It is a statement and it is a government for the southern Cameroons that was dissolved back in 1972. Back in 1961, sorry.
So with that information, what you're telling us is the government, the idea of a government did not start today. We've had a government before, which was dissolved, right?
Yes.
And before we go into the details and the depths, of what comprises the interim government, I would like to first of all ask you, as the vice president, to explain to us what your role is as the vice president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Thank you.
Yeah, before I do that, I want to make a correction. I said 1961, it was around 1968. So let me go back there. As a vice president, what was your question again? You were asking me what my role is as vice president?
VPME?
I can hear you now.
Yes. So what is your role as the vice president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia?
Well, the vice president assists the president. That is the basic function. But as a matter of fact, in our revolutionary constitution, the vice president is the shadow of the president, which means I sit in for the president if he's indisposed. I carry some of the activities that he cannot carry when he's busy doing other things. So basically, that's it. That's what the vice president does. But if you go by the constitution, the vice president is the second in command in Ambazonia. So the vice president is there, like I said before, just like the shadow of the president. So that is my responsibility. So everything the president does, he briefs me on what he does. That way, if someday he's not available or something were to happen, I'll be able to step in those shoes and lead the nation. But I hope that day never comes. Thank you, Yaya.
Thank you. That sounds really nice. We know you for your loyalty, and of course, you have you stood beside this president for quite a long time. He said it when he actually appointed you as his vice president. You've actually held so many different positions as far as our liberation quest or struggle is concerned. I remember the days of you being the press secretary, where I served your house as your chief of staff. It was an honor indeed. And you've also held the position of the director of cabinet. And now as the vice president, what is the difference? Are you bringing in more? Are you bringing in less? Can you tell us about how, is that a progression?
When I was press secretary, I was in charge of calibrating the president's message and delivering it to the Ambazonian people. So the role of director of press secretary is quite different from the role of, let's say, the director of cabinet or the vice president. You know, we do have a secretary of communication, and he was actually the spokesperson for the government. I was there to just articulate some other aspects that the president, some other things that the president wanted me to articulate as press secretary. You yourself, you were press secretary after me, so you know how engaging it is. Okay, when I was director of cabinet, the director of cabinet, it heads all the directorates at the presidency. In our executive branch of government, you have the cabinet, and then you have the office of the president. And in the office of the president, all the presidential aides, the executive assistant to the president, and the ambassadors and things like that, people like those titles, all fall under the jurisdiction of the director of cabinet. So the director of cabinet is the one who manages the affairs of the presidency and help the president, execute his functions. So, but as vice president, we do have a chief of staff who manages the cabinet and sometimes also manages some things that the president assigns her to do. We also have a director of cabinet right now at the presidency, who is Dr. Keja. So me as vice president, I'm just there to counsel and advise. And because I've heard all those positions except chief of staff, but when I was director of cabinet, I learned a lot. I basically went to every single county with the president. I knew a lot that was happening around the country, our LGAs and county, how they struggled, how they built, how they implemented the Amber Peace Plan. So I'm well versed with all those challenges that they face in administering their various constituencies. So if you look at it from the perspective of being a vice president, I don't do that anymore, because in reality, the vice president is not a chief executive, just like the chief of staff or the director of cabinet, as compared to, let's say, a secretary of state, who is a chief executive of his own department, where he manages his department and he presents monthly reports to the chief of staff, who in turn either submit it to the president through me or direct it to the president. So that is the difference between the roles that I had before and the role that I have now as vice president. That's as much as I can explain it. Yaya, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Very loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. VP. We see, we can hear from your experiences how much wealth of experience you bring into this position as VP. And I must say, because of your experience, you're just not there to be the shadow of the president. You're a great support to us, because you have been in these seats, on our seats actually, and therefore you know the challenges we face, and you're always a phone call away. So for that, we're very grateful. Now let's talk about the interim government, because a lot of times we hear people talk about the IG, and they call the president all the time, the IG Sako, as if the IG is one person. Please, can you tell us what comprises this whole concept or ideology of the interim government? Tell us about its breadth and the width. Thank you.
The IG is made up of institutions. You have the presidency, you have the presidency, which is the president is the head of the executive branch of government. You also have an equal branch of government, which is the legislative branch of government. Then you have the Judicial Commission. But since we cannot, have courts right now, because we are not actually in Ambazonia, we are still trying to actualize our independence. We have a Judicial Council, and then we also have the Ethics Commission. Well, those are the branches of government that we have now. After ASSC2, we merged the Ethics Commission and the Judicial Council, so they can all deliberate together. So, in our government, the president is the head of state. and the vice president is second in command. So when it comes to, I don't know if you want me to go to the protocol, but let me just stick to those branches of government right now, and then go down to back to
correct.
the executive
Yes,
branch of government. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
let me
that's
just go
exactly
back to
what
the
I wanted.
executive branch of government. The president is assisted by the vice president, and then the president also appoints secretaries of state to head various departments of the government. So in a sense, um, those secretaries of state are head of their departments, and they are also assisted by under secretaries of state to carry various functions in those departments. And that is how our government, our federal government, is structured. But when people say government, everybody thinks it's just the president. No, even if you leave the federal government, you have to go to the state, to the county government. We have the counties. So we have the federal, the counties, and the local government areas. So the grassroots is the local government area. You have the chair people of the local government areas. Those are also members of government. And then you have the counties, and then you have the federal government. So sometimes people just forget about all those other branches, all those sort of arms of government within the executive branch of government, and just talk about the president. Sako has done this. Sako is the head. Well, you know what? I believe that the president takes that as a grain of salt, because as a leader, everything is thrown at you. You are responsible for every failure, and you never take credit for anything that goes good. So I'll leave it at that, yeah.
So, thank you so much, VP. You did mention, I mean, I'm happy you mentioned the fact that, or you emphasized on the fact that the counties and the LGA leadership are part of the interim government. This is really an important point to emphasize, because we've always prided ourselves with the slogan that we govern together to liberate together, and that the basis of our governance, we do grassroots, bottom up, and both ways. But the grassroots is really a foundation. So, but you hear this oftentimes, even from the leadership at the level of LGAs and maybe counties. People speak sometimes and say, you should tell the interim government that this. Tell the interim government that. And then the question is, who are you? So we really need to internalize this concept that the interim government is a broad-based institution, with the different tiers of government, different branches. And within the executive, we have, from the federal government down to the county leadership, and then to the LGA leadership, which really forms our foundation. This is really, really important, that we actually internalize that. And we see that, especially when the counties and the LGAs, they work with our foot soldiers or our comrades on the ground, and they do stuff that, necessary things that need to be done. And sometimes the message is not passed on, as we are part of the interim government. So, the ground gets this, and they know, okay, people from my county have done this to me, but the interim government has not done this to me. So this education is absolutely necessary, that we, the leaders at the level of the grassroots, who are very, very important, we actually form the backbone of this government. We should actually educate the masses and tell them that we form part of this interim government. So if you're asking a question to Dr. Sako about your money, about this, about that, you should be asking your LGA, because you have a leader, you have a defense chair, you have a finance person, you should have a representative in the Treasury board who should be able to answer your local questions. Is there anything, do you want to add and maybe explain to us about the Amber Peace Plan a little bit?
Now, when we went to Berlin, I think it was in 2019, and we decided to decentralize our government. The president, in his wisdom, felt like we have to bring the government closer to the people, which we did. So when we came back from Berlin, we went through the implementation process. I know for a fact that a lot of some counties have not fully implemented the Amber Peace Plan, but this is the intention. That was the intention, to decentralize our government. So every LGA will create their own forum, bring their own sons and daughters, raise money to help the people within who are fighting to defend themselves within their own LGA. So when you become a member of an LGA, you don't contribute your money to the president. You contribute it to your local government. The local government in turns helps the people who are in your local government fighting. That is how it was intended to be, and that is the way it should be. But you would agree with me that you have some on home front who would try to bypass their local government area and come straight to the federal government and just accuse the IG doesn't do this, the IG doesn't do that. The message I would like to send to everyone on home front is that we have a decentralized government. Your first point of contact, if you are a soldier on ground on home front, is your defense chair or the defense chair of your LGA or your county chair or any executive within your own local government area. That's how we work. But I'm also encouraging all LGA executives to spend some time educating our people about our structure, because sometimes the accusations and insults comes from home front because the boys and girls who are bleeding to defend our people don't have the right information as to how our government functions and how it is structured. So whenever there is something wrong within any of those structures within the LGS, they automatically accuse the federal government, whereas the federal government sometimes has no control of what really happened within your LGA, because the president doesn't go down to each individual LGA to manage. I'll give you an example. When I went down to one of the county, I think it was Bowie County, to facilitate the implementation of the Amber Peace Plan, you distinctly remember that I came there, I talked to everyone, and we decided to create all those LGAs. And then we found people to head all those LGAs, and I also created an executive council into which I put everyone. We also created a defense council where we put everyone. But it didn't last, because there were a couple of them who decided to use all their energy to destroy the leadership instead of actually working with the leadership and building their own individual LGAs. So it became problematic because of those kind of when somebody abandons what they are supposed to do and just go on the attack the county leadership or the federal government, things don't go right. So what I want to encourage the people of Hope Front to understand is that when you listen to us talk here today, the message we are trying to put forth to you, is that your government is decentralized. Your first point of contact is your LGA chair or your defense chair. If you have a problem, go through that chain of command. When you pick up your phone and you call some individual in the diaspora, that individual cannot solve your problem. But if you stay within your own structure, I think it would do you well, because they can listen to you. And if it's a problem that the federal government has to come in and help, then your county chair or your defense chair can channel it to either the Secretary of Defense or channel it to the Secretary of State for Community Mobilization, and things like that. So we have to respect our structures and understand that that's how the interim government functions, is to avoid all these misunderstandings that we've had over time. Thank you.
Mr. VP, for that detailed explanation, as emphasizing on the decentralized nature of the interim government. And that is why it is called the people's government, because it is not about an individual, it is not about a group of people. It is actually a very broad-based structure that is diverse and all inclusive. And we have a few examples of this decentralized system. Of course, governance itself, starting with the federal government, you have the county leadership, and as well as the LGA leadership. And you have other institutions like the Treasury, which is a very, very important, a sore spot, the money spot. The Treasury board comprises of representatives from all 13 counties. Of course, not all have sent their members, but the majority of them have. So there is no decision. This is not like before in the days of Tabenyang, where this was controlled or manned by one or two persons, and accountability, of course, was difficult. Nowadays, what before any money gets shifted, I'm sure you've listened to our great ladies who know more about the money stuff, and we'll be having them sometime here, Ma I and Ma Vicky, to talk more about the functioning of this treasury. But the much I know is that you have representatives from every county, and before money leaves the treasury, a requisition is made and sent to this treasury board. They look at it, all those representatives, they sit and have a look at it, and then they endorse it or not. So all those rumors, when you understand, when you as a county or an LGA, you've sent your representative to the treasury, and you hear stories like, oh, they stole our money, of course, you know that is not true, because your representative is right there and knows what happens. So it is very important that all counties, all LGAs send their representatives to these central bodies, so that we actually have a harmony and smooth coordination in the division of labor in this decentralized system of governance. So just to emphasize, we have the Treasury, we have the Audit Committee, you also have representatives from the different counties, the Ethics Committee, not so sure, sorry, I shouldn't say that. But the resource mobilization, I think they are also planning to have this kind of a structure where they have a resource mobilization liaison person from each county. That way, whatever they're doing at the national level, they also pass it down and vice versa. So I hope that explains very well the decentralized nature of our government. So, Mr. VP, I'll be moving slightly to another topic, and this is about the Interim House of Representatives. So, where do they stand in terms of hierarchy and in the governance of this interim government, so to say?
The Interim House of Representatives is the legislative arm of government. They are an equal branch of government to the executive branch of government and to the judicial branch of government. It's just like, let's take, for example, the United States. The president heads the executive branch, which is equal to the legislative branch headed by Nancy Pelosi. And you also have the Supreme Court. I know some people will say, how come it is the president who appoints the members of the Judicial Council? How come they are equal to the executive branch of government? Look, the thing is, the way when we went to ASSE2, we changed a lot of things. The president appoints members of the Ethics Commission and members of the Judicial Council, but he cannot fire them. That's how it is now. Before, the president could, but now we have made it such that we wanted the Judicial Council, who deals with legal matters, to have a free hand to work without any pressure from the executive branch of government, so they are not entitled to be getting fired by the president. However, if they did something so egregious, I think we can make recommendations for them to be impeached. And the Ethics Commission too is quite independent. That is why the president cannot just fire a member of the Ethics Commission anymore. So we are actually building a nation that is going to have checks and balances. Okay, when it comes to protocol and precedence, there's something that I have to make clear to the Ambazonian people. Just because branches of government are equal in their operations doesn't make the personalities who hold the offices equal. Because that was a mistake that the chairman of the defunct Restoration Council made. Why do I say that? In our system of government and based on our constitution, the president is the head of state and is assisted by the vice president. So when it comes to protocol, the president comes first, the vice president comes second. So, and then the Speaker of the House, when it comes to general protocol, the Speaker of the House comes. And then you have the chairman of the Judicial Council, and then you have the chair lady of the Ethics Commission. That's the way it is. So there should be, everyone should understand that just because branches of government are equal doesn't mean the individuals who head those houses are equal to the president. No, they are not. So, and that misunderstanding probably led to the defunct Restoration County chairperson to crown himself kingmaker. He has started signing memos from committees to disrupt this government because he actually thought he was higher than the president. Because even in the United States, Congress is actually more powerful than the executive branch of government. Congress is the representative body. But the Speaker of the House of Representatives in America is not an equal to President Biden. So Comex, I didn't understand that. And I'm very happy that we now have a very intelligent Speaker of the House who understands that protocol, that she cannot try to elevate herself to the level of the president of Amazonia or the vice president. She's not. But her house, the interim House of Representatives, is equal to the executive branch of government. So I just wanted to emphasize that for now.
Thank you so much, VP, for that clarification there. And just to add, yes, you've mentioned that the Interim House of Representatives is the legislative arm of the government. I would like you to break down and tell us exactly what they do, because some people have misunderstood or misinterpreted the role of the Interim House of Government to be a disciplinary council. Or, is that correct? Can you tell us what you mean by the legislative arm? We say these words, but just help us break it down.
Okay. Let me just break everything down so we can just kind of understand exactly how government works. The legislative branch of government passes bills. They don't make laws. Sorry, my phone was ringing. The Interim House of Representatives passes bills that in turn are signed by the president into law, because no bill can actually become law without the president's signature. So you see, there's a balance. So the president cannot pass laws, and the interim House of Representatives cannot pass laws. So they have to work together. So if a bill goes to the House about a particular law, they will vote on that law. If the law passes in the House, then they send it to the president, and then the bill passes the House, and then the president signs it into law. However, the president is also embedded with executive powers, with the power to issue executive orders. So if the president finds that something is not going right in Amazonia, the constitution gives him the right to pass an executive order to give that corrective message towards that problem. Okay, why do I say that? For instance, when the chairman of the defunct Restoration Council, Dr. Epa and Chris Anu supporters within the defunct Restoration Council, when they started sending out memos from committees, not from the entire House, acting as though it was law and that it was an order to the president, the representatives from the LGS decided to pull themselves out from that House because a bunch of thugs had usurped the authority within that House. So the president realized that that House is not functional anymore, that it was just a group of maybe 5 or 6 people within a committee that were actually passing out memos and calling them laws. The representatives had already pulled out. So the president signed an executive order saying, hey, you know what? This House is not functional. So we have to stop the legislative process. So the president had the authority to do that. So come down to who is the disciplinary, the Ethics Commission when you have a problem within government or amongst maybe comrades, the person to talk to will be maybe your superior first. And if they cannot handle it and you want to maybe file a case, you will go to the ethics commission, especially if it's an ethics problem. The ethics commission is there for conflict resolution. That is what they do. Then the judicial council is there to interpret our laws and also interpret the constitution, in the sense that if the interim house of representatives passes a law today saying that for instance, let's say passes a law that is anti-constitutional, any citizen of Ambazonia can petition the judicial house and say, hey, you know what, I think this law passed by the interim house of representatives signed by the president is unconstitutional because it violates this clause or that clause of the constitution. And the judicial council has the authority to also look at that law and then advise the house and say, hey, you know what, this law that you just passed violates the constitution. I think some corrective measures has to be made. And then the president can send back that bill to the house for those corrective measures. The house will look at it and make sure that, because let me just give you an example. There is a Bill of Rights embedded in the Constitution that says all Ambazonians are equal, they are protected equally. Let's say if the House of Representatives passes a law today and say women cannot be members of government, that will be unconstitutional. And if the president signs it, it will still be law, but it's still unconstitutional. So who do you go to report something like that? You go to the Judicial Council and tell them that the legislative branch of government just passed this bill saying women cannot be part of this government, and the president signed it into law. It is the responsibility of the Judicial Council to rule on that law and say, hey, you know what? This law is unconstitutional, so it should be brought down. So everybody has their own power. So how our government works. So we have to understand exactly who does what and who doesn't do what. Like when Mr. Crisano had his problem, he decided not to bring it to the Ethics Commission, whereas that was the procedure he was supposed to follow. But he chose not to follow for other reasons. But I think we'll go into that later. Thank you.
Mr. VP, for actually dissecting the various roles of the different tiers or branches of our government. That is really very helpful. So it is important because in a revolution, in a struggle like ours, or a liberation struggle like ours, we auto-correct ourselves as we go. And we have these institutions put in place. Some have been misunderstood. Especially another one is the audit committee, because when we had the recent upheavals, some people thought the audit committee is another leeway to actually sell or get the agenda passed on, because they were looking, or some people thought the audit committee is another vehicle to actually push through the agenda. The audit committee is not a disciplinary council, the best I know, because I am a member of the audit committee. My understanding is that the audit committee audits every institution of this interim government, or at least that is the plan, in order to look at places where to do some feedback and see where there could be improvements, where there have been errors or weaknesses in the system, and we autocorrect. It is not a place to go and point fingers at this person or that person, as the coup plotters wanted to use it to manipulate, to force or change the program of the audit commission to quickly audit the Treasury and not other institutions. That's the plan, that's the program, that's a project for the audit committee. It has to go through all these bodies and make sure that we're actually doing best practice. So it is not about following an individual or a criminal. So we have heard the Ethics Commission is the place to go if people have problems or ethical issues. And of course, we don't want to clog these offices. So we're expecting that when people have disagreements, they should do their best to solve them, resolve them at a personal level, if it's not working at that level, and then you reach out. Again, the ethics committee is encouraging that at every level, at county level, we should also have ethics commissions at those levels who can deal with the local issues. And then when it comes to maybe federal issues, that will be handled by the federal body, ethics body. Okay. So we've talked about conflict resolution. Therefore, with all this explanation that we have, we can tell that Mr. Chris Anu, in his well-calculated plan, as we will get to talk more about, had a good reason for bypassing the Ethics Commission to go to the well, it wasn't called the Interim House of Representatives, the now defunct Restoration Council. So that was the wrong procedure that he took, and he did that on purpose. So that takes us to our next question, Mr. VP. With the recent staged constitutional crisis, because when I speak to a lot of people, they say, but why is Sako sitting on the chair? Why can he not go after his term of office? He agreed to stay there for 2 years. Why does he want to stay longer, and all of that? So, was this truly a constitutional crisis? Do you think this came from a genuine place of ignorance, lack of knowledge, or was this actually a staged plan, Mr. VP?
I believe they knew exactly what they were doing. I think I explained this before on my previous shows. Before we were amended, we put more clauses in the Constitution after we came back from ASSE2. In the Constitution, there is no term limit for the president. There is none. But what happened was, Kometa, who hated the president so much, decided to come out with a statement after he saw in the president said the president had 2 years. That was a breach of contract. That was a breach of trust, because he violated the Constitution. Because the Constitution there is an oath of office that is right there within the Constitution. You read it and you are done. And the president says, when the president responds to you while you are reading that oath to him, it ends with "So help me God." And that was the end of it. That should have been the end of it. Because after the president said that, people applauded. And what did Kometa do? He said, "Mr. President, you have 2 years." So why would somebody who claims to be intelligent leave what is embedded in the Constitution and go by the word of a madman who tries to use whatever influence he has to insert something that doesn't exist in the Constitution? The Constitution is a static document. It can only be amended by a constituted assembly. So who gave Kometa the authority to give the president 2 years? That is what I said before. He misunderstood the fact that his branch of government was equal to the executive branch of government. He actually thought that he was higher than the president and he was higher than everybody in Ambazonia. So he crowned himself kingmaker and decided to say, "Mr. President, I will give you 2 years," even though it wasn't in the Constitution. So, and things like that. So some members of cabinet who also had ambitions capitalized on that stupidity and started campaigning, I would say, silently within the cabinet and other areas of government, thinking that the president's term of office will be over in November. And there's one other thing that a lot of Ambazonians don't know. One motivational factor that pushed Kometa to do what he tried to do. He was trying to protect himself. It wasn't because he loved Chris Anu, he liked Chris Anu, no. It was because during ASSE1, it was decided that now that ASSE1 was in 2019. So we were supposed to go to ASSE2 in 2021 in Washington to evaluate how we implemented the Amber Peace Plan that was birthed in Berlin in 2019. And one of the agreements that we came to was that the Restoration Council, the defunct Restoration Council, will no longer have group representation. You remember when we went to Zaria to create the interim government, it was a bunch of groups that came together. You had the NCNC, you had SCAPO, you had all these other groups that came together to form the interim government. And that is why Kometa, being the chairman of the North American branch of the NCNC, was chairman of the Restoration Council. Because the IG itself is not a group. We don't have any group affiliation. We are just a government of the people. We don't have any group. But the Restoration Council had Kometa there, who was a member of SCNC. Because at the time, I think Pandanga was supposed to be the chairman, but because he was down there on home front, he couldn't assume that responsibility because his life would be in danger. So they picked Kometa to sit there for him. So when we decided in Berlin that now that we have LGAs and counties, and we have brought our people, our government to the people, now that we have decentralized, it will be better for us to have representatives in that defunct house just come from the LGAs, no group representation. So their mandate their mandate in the Defunct Restoration Council was supposed to end on October 15th of 2021. So it was around that time that Kometa thought to himself, I would think, that if I don't do something fast, I will be kicked out from the Defunct Restoration Council, because that was part of the resolution that came out from ASSC 1 in Berlin, that we give in 2019 we said, okay, we give the LGS 2 years, the executive branch 2 years to constitute all the LGS and the counties, and then when they send their representatives to the interim to the Defunct Restoration Council, then all the group representation will stop. So Kometa knew he was going to lose his job. So that was a motivating factor for him to do what he did. So what has happened now? He has partnered with people like idiots who don't even know why he was doing what he did. Because some of these people who were following him don't even know that he had his own agenda. Or they all had individual agendas. Kometa's agenda was to have a house to manage, because his term of office was over on November 15th of 2021. So that is why he delayed the admission of every LJ and county representatives into the Restoration Council, because he knew that if he had a full house, then the executive branch of government would have succeeded to have populated the house enough for the group representation to end. So he wanted to destroy the president and act as though the president was impeached, so that his coup plotters will maintain him as the chairman of that Defunct Restoration Council and not remove him in October. So he had his own agenda. One thing I'm going to also tell you, Yaya, the president made mention of in one of our meetings. If you look at all the majority of the people who are coup plotters today, a lot of them are financial secretaries of certain counties and LGAs, people who handle money. Because if you are president, or if you are a financial secretary, and you extort money from your people, or you steal money, the only one person who can actually hold you accountable is our institutions, like IOC, the audit committee. You have to be audited and stuff like that. So what will you do? In their mind, they thought to themselves that, hey, you know what? Someday I might be held accountable and asked to pay back this money. So let me just say, hey, Sako must go. Let's do something to disrupt the government. Because right now, whatever they have out there that they call the government under somebody called Riariata or Namariata, I don't even know what her name is, can never hold them accountable, because they were never part of that administration. So when you steal money within the Sako administration, you exit by accusing the president so you can run with the money. So when you get over there, the person that is that is employing you now as a member of government has no jurisdiction to actually prosecute you and ask you for that money. Because you will tell them, oh, that affair is closed because I have left it. Now this is a new government. That's what these people did. That is why whenever we send the audit committee to audit people, they will not go. Fako, Mula Edi, and Edwin Gumba and Reverend Axon refused to go for the audit. And what happened? They became a coup plotter. You know why? Because in their mind, Abongwa and Marianta in the other government that they thought they created, whatever they call government, would never investigate them because it didn't happen within that government. So that's what happens. Go and look at it. A lot of these coup plotters. If you look at the former chairperson of Menchum, he got away with his people's money. He's a coup plotter now. Because he knows that if you go to ask him, hey, where is the money that you took from my country? Hey, I'm no longer with Sako. I'm now with a different government. So don't ask me any question. That is their trick. Look at them. Look at it. Just go and take one by one.
Wow.
And look at them all the way to Chris Anu. You will know that these are people who did something. Like, okay, for instance, all the LGS and country contributed money. Put it in the treasury. Chris Anu brought a deal. The president told the vice president, Mr. Vice President, Chris Anu has brought a deal. Please, manage this deal. What happened? 135,000 disappeared. Imagine this. If Abongwa was still vice president of Ambazonia today, within this government, and Chris Anu was still within this government, won't you be asking them for that money?
Sure.
So the reason why they are running away is because when you steal from this government, the only safe haven you have is to pretend that you have created another one so people forget. But let me tell you something. I hope I live I hope I am alive when we get to Boya. They will pay for it.
You will.
All of them. They tried to destroy the president with lies, whereas they themselves were the thieves. That is why they did what they did. When you see somebody who handles money, starts insulting the president, start acting as though something is wrong with the government, refuse counsel, don't want to talk to anybody, Sako native man, they want this, all those things, is because they have something to hide. They are looking for a way to exit the government and start something else. Tabayang did the same thing. When Tabayang went away with our money, my trip to Boya, well, we say, Tabayang, give us our money, give us our account. Before you know it, oh my God, no, I'm with Sisiko. We have a government now, so I'm not accountable to you anymore. I'm accountable to the president in jail. It is a trick to steal. That is what they did. So the Amazonian people should know what these people do. And that is why right now we have created new platforms where people can contribute their money. And the money will be saved. Just imagine this. They have now created a government of thieves.
Yeah.
After you created the government, you stole money, 135,000. Why wasn't that enough? Because they are used to stealing. So that is why they had the impetus to go back into the Amazonian Foundation account and steal more money, because that's all they know how to do. And that is why Chris Anu stole the console. That is why he took it, because they're used to stealing. That's just a fact. And if any of them think they can dispute this fact, let them call me. I'll answer my phone and talk to them. These are a bunch of people who stole from us and then try to cover their tracks by saying that we are no longer with you, so you cannot hold us accountable. Tabayang did the same thing. But you know what? The structures that we are now building, we have amended our constitution. We have an interim House of Representatives. We have a solid Speaker of the House who understands due process and the Constitution. We have a new contributing platform. We are now sensitizing all our LGA people that, look, instead of having a financial secretary keep your money, or you give your money to individuals, put it in the National Treasury. Because these people will never be able to get money from there anymore. Never, ever. But I'm warning Ambazonians, listen to me very carefully. even all the LGS counties, when you see somebody start creating problems in your counties, a leader in your county, either a county chair or an LGA chair or a financial secretary, start being recalcitrant, just talking anyhow and blasting everything, just know that there is something cooking. He doesn't want to be held accountable. He will leave and join the coup plotters. He was that's all of them. If you look at their record, John Egewan, why did John Egewan abandon the president? Because he knew that he told us that during the deal of 135,000, he was following whatever the counties had given money to procure from country to country, country A to country B. Thereafter, I would say, but when you were following the trajectory, did you ever see the goods? He said no, which means there was no goods. It was a scam from the beginning. And when we went to that meeting, we asked Chris Anu, you brought us this person. What is the deal here? He blatantly told us that it was a scam. So let me ask the Ambazonian people something. When did Chris Anu know this deal was a scam? As far as I'm concerned, he knew from the beginning. That's what I would say. Because he has never showed any remorse. He tried to cover his tracks by attacking my Irene, and then that led now to creating a new government. The same thing Tabayan did with Ayub Tabe. When Tabayan stole money from Maitri Duboya, he went and joined Ayub Tabe to create another government, so he will no longer be accountable to the Ambazonian people from whom he stole money. Because when you go to him, he will tell you that I no longer serve your government, so you cannot hold me accountable anymore. I have a new president, and that's what they will tell you. And that's exactly what these thieves, these people you call coup plotter, these thieves did. And you have ignoramos, like whatever you call Marianta, running around calling herself president. You know what? She doesn't even know all this. She's walking around with a bunch of embezzlers and thieves and calling herself president, trying to destroy this revolution. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. VP. We can talk on this nonstop, but I want to really agree with what you've said, and that's a revelation. Actually, I never really thought about it that way. If you actually look at the coup plotters, sincerely, they have had a lot to do with money. And I can remember because the communications department is the one department where I have served the longest as far as this struggle is concerned. And I remember the days of Chris Anu when he would come every now and then. In fact, we almost had a regular emergency, think about it, regular emergency meetings only to talk about, mainly to talk about, oh, they're about to close the ABC. We need money, and we will brainstorm and come up with, all kinds of things that we plan to do, and then are never really effected. Yeah. We only hear about bills of 14,000, 16,000, 12,000, and things like that. No one has ever seen a receipt. I'm talking about the think tank of the communications department. Yeah, this is the core of it. All Chris knows how to do is come sit, frighten us how ABC is going to close, and then we manage to do some kind of fundraisers. I have been on the fundraisings, but I can never tell you how much we raised. So that's the amount of so-called accountability that Chris Anu had within his own department, and he has the guts to actually.
Just hold on 1 second.
Yes.
You made a great point there. Let me ask you something.
Thank you.
When you were in that communication department, did you ever know how much our satellite bill was?
No, he just said it in the air. We never saw any bill. He just gave figures.
Someone is heading the communications department. First of all, he wasn't supposed to be a journalist. He's a secretary of communication, right? I was director of cabinet. I did not know what the satellite bill was. I don't think the president even knew the amount of the satellite bill. And even the members of ABC did not know. He didn't want to tell anybody. You know why? So I'm not going to, let me say, let's say the bill was 4,000 and let's say Chris Anu came and told us it was 10, 15,000. How would we know? So this goes back to authenticate and to give credence to what I just said before you came in. When these people steal and steal and steal, they are looking for a way out. Because right now, if you call Chris Anu and say, Chris Anu, we want to audit you, we want to audit the communication department when you were Secretary of State, he will tell you, I'm not part of your government. Sako is no longer my president. If you call the chairman of Menchum, the former chairman of Menchum, and you ask him that, come, we want to audit, he will say, I'm not longer with you. If you call the financial secretary of FACO, she will tell you the same thing. If you call Mulaidi or you call Reverend Asher, she will tell you the same thing. So that is why I said, when people steal, or you see them start agitating to leave the government, even somebody who had the position of a vice president, Abongo, it is so shameful. So now, if the president picked up his phone and called Abongo and said, Abongo, come here. We want to audit. We want to really know how many requisitions you signed for the Treasury for this deal that you guys had with Cristiano, how you disperse the money and everything. What is Abongo going to tell the president? Or Jerry Diawa? Or all of them? I'm no longer part of you. You have been impeached and we have a new government. That's how they steal money and run away, because then they start shouting about Sako must go, Sako must go. It's because they want to cover up their own misdeeds. So that's it. That's it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that, because I remember when things escalated before the 1st of October, Independence Day, we were doing great. We were having great actions from the ground. And of course, Chris had started with his underground, plans, and they were starting to manifest. One of the things that tipped him over was the fact that ABC was to be audited, I believe, or was to be visited by the IOC. I can't remember the details.
Yeah.
And you can see, this is just to confirm what you're saying. A point of correction, he did mention the bills, but nobody saw them. He would just say it's 13,000, it's 12,000, it's 14,000, it is this. Nobody controlled this, and how money was disbursed. It was a one-to-one kind of interaction. He will simply give an order to the treasurer then, and the money is disbursed, and the entire house doesn't really check. We don't know what happens. We just wait till the next meeting. Oh, everything is about to be shut. This is a guy who bullied his way through the communications department ruthlessly, and has the guts to actually point a finger at somebody who is open to be audited, who is open to take advice for improvement. It is terrible. So anyway,
Yeah.
but when it came to this whole story about Myrin and all of that, it came because when ABC was about to be drafted, one of the conditions was that they needed to go through at least the IOC needed to have visited them like they visit every county. And that is when we started having that, what do you call it, apprehension from Chris, because he knew that a lot of things were going to be discovered. So anyway, enough talk about that. And I'm sorry, we're actually getting into the news.
Don't forget the ABC board. When we created it, because he ran ABC like his personal property. So when we instituted the board, because the LGAs were supposed to send $100 every month to fund ABC, right? And so we decided, I said, hey, you know what? Since we don't know anything with this guy, we don't even know the bills, we don't know how the ABC finances are being managed. We have to, the people who are actually financing ABC should be the ones managing ABC. So ABC now became a 501c corporation, a not-for-profit corporation. And so we decided to say, hey, now we need board of directors. What did we do? We went to every county or area and said, hey, send your representatives as board members. So now anything, all the finances of ABC, any requisition that the director of ABC or anybody sends, the board has to approve it. So he knew that he couldn't run ABC anymore as a one-man show, use money any way he wants, boss whatever he wants. He knew that. And so that's why he started agitating. And then he knew that if he just left, he would be dry out there. So he pulled his fellow coup plotters to scam all this money, $135,000, and then left, and then right away started ABS. So ABS wasn't created by mistake. It was created because he knew that with the board with those pockets of accountability being established, it would be very difficult for him to continue doing what he used to do. So he created all this thing about Ma Irene did this, the president should fire Ma. It was just a way, because after that, he abandoned Ma Irene and then went after the president. Partnered with people like EPA in that committee, in the Defunct Restoration Council, and to file impeachment procedures on the president. So it was just a ploy. He felt threatened. He felt that his money back was being taken away from him. The board will now. You were there, Yaya. You were there before he left. You saw the tension between him and board members and IOC and every audit commission. That was everybody that came with the title audit scared the hell out of him, because he's a bully. He thinks he's equal to the president. He can do whatever. He's the face of the revolution. How dare you ask me for accountability? ABC, my ABC. That was his ABC. He wanted it to be his ABC. He was the face of Ambazonia. He said he was more popular than the president. So how dare you come and ask him how he spends money? Look, we are not stupid. And I believe Ambazonians, you know what I mean, are listening to all this and know that. I just want us to understand that this is a learning curve for us. We have to learn from this kind of thing. And that is why we are doing everything in this government to actually put roadblocks where people cannot just do these kind of things. That is why the president is not a member of the Ambazonia Foundation, the board of directors of the Ambazonia Foundation. That is why the vice president doesn't sit on that board. The interim government is like a client to the Ambazonia Foundation. That's why when they went and got money out through fraudulent means, the Ambazonia Foundation sued them. You know why? Because there is no registered corporation in America called the interim government. There is none. There is Ambazonia Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization. So when you take money from it, then you are a thief. Then they will sue you. And that's why they're in court. If they win the case, fine. If they lose it, then they will have to pay all the money that they stole. That's just the fact. But what are they doing? They're always trying to cover up. President Sarkozy's name has become some kind of, I don't know, some kind of, how would I put it? I don't even know the word for it. Because as soon as they got this lawsuit, they saw the plaintiffs. It was Ambazonia Foundation, Amber TV, that's Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, which is also a non-for-profit, and the Southern Cameroon Foundation. These are the three plaintiffs, right? When you read that lawsuit, you don't see Sarkozy's name there. But what did Prince Abel do? He went to his propaganda platform and said Sarko has sued them. Why? Why always drag the president into all this? Why? Why always do? You try to destroy somebody by fabricating stories. You didn't succeed. Then you go and steal money from somewhere. Somebody sues you and you still blame the president. So what I'm saying is that I want Ambazonians to be very proud of their government. You people should be very proud of your government. And I'm really advising every LG and county chair. If you have a financial secretary who puts money in their personal account, please talk to that person. Put your money in the National Treasury, or you yourself, as a county or as an LG, you can register your own 501c. You can say, and whatever. Let it be. You put your money where somebody can be held accountable. Not that you give your money to somebody, they just take the money and just run away with it. Now, these people cannot just go free. Why? Because Ambazonia Foundation was a legal entity within the United States. So please endeavor to channel all your draft money and everything and label it. If you're drafting from, let's say, Santa or from anywhere, if you don't trust where your money will sit within your LG and the county, just send it and say, put your LG or your county, and that money will sit in the National Treasury, safe for you. And the Chief of Staff made a point earlier. She talked about representation in the National Treasury. Okay, you have the Treasury Secretariat that is supposed to be made up of financial secretaries from all 61 LGs. Now, I know we don't have, all the LGs are not fully functional, but those that are functional, please send your representatives to the Treasury. So that when your people contribute their money to the Treasury, he or she has a record of the money that was contributed within your LGA. And then the counties too, if they have their own financial secretaries too, they can also send it to the board of directors. So you have the secretariat and you have the board of directors. You have the treasury board. That's the way this thing works. If, let's say, a county has $100,000 in the treasury, and they sit in their executive council and they say, okay, we want to procure this or that for our people, we need $40,000. All they have to do is write a requisition, not to me, not to the president. Write a requisition, channel it to your chairperson, he approves it, your financial secretary signs the requisition, you send it to the treasury, the money is disbursed where it has to go. When I was director of cabinet, we sent a lot of money to Homefront to help our people. Sometimes the person will call me and say, Mr. Director, please, I want, this person is wounded, or this person is hungry, or this person, something is happening. Can you please make a requisition for $2,000-$3,000 for this person? What I do is I just fill the requisition. But you know what? Even back then, there was accountability. Because if I fill that requisition, I cannot sign it. I will have to send it to the president to sign it. You know why? Because even if I put the president's signature there, even if I forge the president's signature on that requisition, I send it to the treasury, they will not order it. The only person who can send that requisition was the president. So even though I did the clerical work to fill it out, I had to send it to him for him to send it to Richard Tango. That was the protocol. And even back then too, and even now, only the president and the vice president has the authority to sign requisitions from the treasury, and it is approved by the board. It's not a one-man thing. The president cannot just walk into the treasury and just take money out. No, that's not true. If the president was in distress, or any Ambazonia was in distress, we can raise money and help them. But you cannot, no one person in this revolution, not the president, not the vice president, not the county chair, nobody has the right to just walk into the treasury and sign money out for nothing. Those people who sit there. So if you want accountability, send your representatives so that they can sit there and see the things that are coming. Like right now, I sit in the board of treasury, but I'm not a member of that board. I see the requisitions that are going in. I see that the people actually deliberate and say, what is this money for? The president approved this. It's going to go to Tunja. It's going to Bui. Okay, what do you think? I think it's it. But they approve it and they disperse it. And they don't disperse it to the president. No requisition is paid to the president. If you want to send a requisition, you have to put where that money is going. So it is the recipient on ground one, or in the hope front who receives the money. So how all this story about Sako don't take money, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. I've been vice president since January. I have never signed a requisition from the treasury. I have only the president and the vice president I can sign the requisition, but I don't have to because I don't have any need for it. If something happens and the president calls me and say, hey, Mr. VP, there is something going on home front. VP, can you please sign a requisition to send this fighter or this fighter money? I'll do it.
VP, I am so sorry to cut you short. Yeah, thank you so much. I think we'll have another session with you because we haven't even gone through half of the things we plan to discuss. But because the news, we've actually taken into the news time, and we're very happy. We're very thankful for that generosity from Director Paddy and his team. We don't want to push it too far. We know how important the news is. So we're asking every Ambazonian to stay tuned. Please share the link and follow the news. So we will definitely be having this program bi-monthly, meaning in 2 weeks, alternating with the health program. So we will have the VP again, because as you can see, he's a man with a wealth of knowledge, experience, and I can't have enough listening to him. So Mr. VP, I just want to thank you so much. It's been an honor for you to actually inaugurate this program. We hope it's going to be one that is going to make a difference, that will teach and educate and empower our people so that they are not vulnerable to liars, to thieves, and manipulators. So please, next time we would like you to send in your questions. Hopefully we'll start on time so that we have the last 15 minutes to take your questions and the VP can answer them directly. We will be having other members of this broad structure of the interim government in due course. And so stay tuned. And the VP, you have the floor for closing statements.
Thank you, Yaya. I know I went a little bit over my time. I just had to explain those things because now emotions are really high. It is time for us to inform our people of the predicament in which we find ourselves caused by all these people. So I thought I would use that time to actually do that. And I think our people really understand what went wrong. Like you said, I'll be back whenever I'm opportune, or whenever whatever question I didn't answer, you can always ask me after that, so we can maybe kind of like put things in perspective for all our people. It is very important. So I really want to thank the Amazonian people, those of you who logged in to listen. I hope it will be a larger crowd last time. I think we came in a little bit too precipitously. We didn't do enough mobilization, but I would really like for this show to be repeated on Amber TV so that people know exactly what we said here today. This is part of setting the record straight, because you cannot try to destroy someone when you yourself is a thief. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much to our technical team, Comrade Padi and your team, Pastor Commando, and all those working on the background. Ambazonia, Homefront, we love you. Stay strong, stay courageous. We are on course. Shake no day. So see you in 2 weeks' time. The next week, we will be having our health program. So this will be alternating with this program, Know Your Interim Government. Thanks for watching and see you next time. God bless.
Mutumbo, mama yo, na ya boy go get down. Blue Jay promise. Mama you kind, mama you're beautiful, mama you good, mama you're wonderful. No woman like you, mama. No woman like you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. 'Cause you gave me life. Mama, queen of my life. Oh, mama, I go love you for life. Oh, mama, 'cause you love me so. Oh, mama. From small beginning, I never forget all the suffer when you suffer for me. Oh, yeah. All the pain and the troubles where I put you through. I remember when money no be there and chop no be there for her. You be the try your best. You go run around to find us something where we go chop. When I dey sick, you know the sleep, you go the cry all night. You go hold me tight, start to pray, say God make you help my baby. Oh Lord, ooh, I wo ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinyu ye ga choma. Mama, I wo ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinyu ye ga choma. Ye ga choma, mama. Enga na chinyu ye ga choma. Chinyu ye ga choma. Oh, you gave me life, mama, queen of my life. Oh, mama, I will love you for life. Mama, 'cause you love me so. Mama, you're my motivation. You gave me the best education, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you. Now it's special dedication to you. Oh yeah. I know say every night and day you pray say make a mama. The God where you the pray I'm for heaven don't give me this inspiration, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you. Now to show my appreciation to you. Be a warrior, choma. I found a better yet from the choma. I'm bombing a better yet from a choma. And Ghana, Chinum Yaga choma. Mama, warrior, choma. I found a better yet from the choma. I'm bombing a better yet from a choma. And Ghana, Chinum Yaga choma. Chinum Yaga choma. You gave me life. Mama, le, le.